and this will accelerate it.
So if we see an accelerated slowdown, and we've already seen PMIs, for instance, in contraction in UK and Europe and Japan, I mean, in many, many, many countries at this point, what does that do to how you think about the price of oil?
So oil, of course, is highly dependent on demand, but it's even more dependent on supply. And, of course, the supply is variable because most of the oil in the world is not actually supplied by the United States, a very important supplier, where the free market works, but by many state-controlled enterprises. And state-controlled enterprises have different agendas. For example, I'm sure that Saudi Arabia, if they would like to get an IPO of Saudi Aramco off the ground, will have to think very hard about where they want to see the price of oil.
And they just made some changes to that effect today. I mean, these are typically huge moves in the oil space to see them take a guy like Khalid Al-Falih out of that leadership post, and yet there was actually not that much attention paid. How much clout has that group lost, has Saudi lost here, if any, in your view?
Well, it's difficult to say, but I would think that this is, they have been very clear. They would like to do a form of IPO, a form of financing with Saudi Aramco. So let's see if they do that. And they're obviously clearing the decks to make that happen.
Are you basically saying that OPEC is going to be the backstop or put the floor in for an oil price?
You know, OPEC has, we've declared the death of OPEC so many times, and it's still alive and well. So OPEC plus Russia is a very important controller, and that will happen. The other thing is, I think we all get carried away with supply. Everyone thinks it all goes north. I think the Permian is a very important basin, but I would expect the rate of growth of the Permian to come down considerably.
Well, we should mention while you're here, you've also written a book, your fifth book, in fact, Make, Think, and Imagine, just came out in the U.S. last week. And you do have an optimistic point of view on the future. He says, look, engineers and that brain, those solutions can solve a lot of our problems. Can they solve Brexit? I mean, can they fix what's going on in the Permian? What do you think here?
They can certainly start fixing climate change, that's for sure. Because I think when you start looking at all the tools and techniques we've got to reduce carbon dioxide, we have everything we need. All the engineered solutions are there. We've just got to put them in place, which means we need incentives. So carbon taxes, for example, we need to get those through. Otherwise, we're going to see carbon dioxide go up and temperature rise to areas we don't want to see. So I think engineering always produces good results and unexpected, unintended bad results. No one expected to produce all the CO2, for example. No one expected convenience of opening your phone with your face to be something to be used to spot and survey people that you don't want to see.
Right.
So, but it's normally the case that engineering produces great futures, and what you mustn't do is stop engineering. If you've got bad things, use engineering to cure the bad areas.
Seems to create its own job security that way.
Absolutely, it does. And I think, and it also, it produces generally a better world. If you think our world is, cleaner, better, it's more educated, less people starving, and healthier. And health is a really important thing engineering really leads. Then you need more engineering, not less.
Okay. Make, Think, Imagine is your book. It hits U.S. shelves today. Lord Brown, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Lord John Brown.
To the bond market now, shall we? Rick Santelli is tracking the action of the CME. Rick, with some headlines today.
Well, I'll tell you, some headlines are that we went into contraction mode in the ISM number this morning, and boy, you could really pick it out on a chart. Look at an intraday of 2-year. Yeah, that big cliff swan drop there, that was 10 o'clock Eastern on a 2-year, down about 5 basis points. 1,478's the current low yield close. We're challenging that. If you look at an intraday 10, same move at 10 Eastern, current low yield close for the cycle at 147. We're challenging that, as all maturities are. Look at a 2-day of Italian. Italian 10's now under 90 basis points. A country with the economy of Italy shows you how upside down the world is. And about the foreign exchange markets, intraday dollar index, the dollar suffered also at 10 o'clock Eastern, But since it's still up on the day at all, it is new record territory for a 28-month high. And if you look to April of 2017, that was the last time the dollar index had triple digits at 100. And many traders believe with big demand in the dollar global, there's a good chance it's going to happen again. Kelly, back to you.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Rick Santelli. Tech tumbling today as a new round of tariffs kicks in. The NASDAQ down more than 1%, and Apple is among the stocks hit hard. Coming up, we'll speak with the head of an industry trade group that represents Apple and thousands of other companies. What do they want the president to do about China? Stay with Power Lunch.
The Bond Report.
At Tesco, we can pop our pasta in your Astra, our red Leicester in your Fiesta, or our mayo in your Mondeo. All you need to do is try Click and Collect. Just go to Tesco.com, order your shopping, then click and collect. With the minimum basket spend now only £25. And if you fancy something a little more exotic, we can even put our pad thai in your Qashqai. Try Click and Collect at Tesco.com. Every little helps. Selected larger stores. Booking charge may apply. See online for full terms and conditions.
Oh, I found one of our new Vauxhall Griffin editions.
Yes. What comes as standard?
Standard? Well, alloy wheels, sat-nav, aircon, DAB radio, Bluetooth, smartphone projection and USB connection.
Wow. Is that everything?
Sorry, forgot the colour touchscreen.
Buy a new Griffin Edition, Adam, Astra, Corsa or Mocha X Plus and get a whole host of features as standard. The Griffin Edition range. All Griffin, no bull. Visit your nearest retailer now. Vauxhall, British brand since 1903. Participating retailers only. Limited units while stocks last.
This one shouldn't take long. Of course, if it had a cover, I might not be bothered. Can't see what's under there. And then they'd have chained the back wheel. It would have taken me much longer, especially if the chain's off the ground. Makes it harder to cut. This one doesn't even have a lock on the front. So, in the time I've been talking to you, I've nicked it.
Over 9,000 scooters and motorbikes were stolen in London last year. Lock your bike, chain the rear wheel and cover it to make it harder to steal. Lock, chain, cover. The Met Police.
For people who want to feel happier, stronger, fitter, get further, faster, better. For people who want to, but don't always manage to. It doesn't matter how you want to do it, who you want to do it with. It matters that you want to. Virgin Active. We'll find a way for you. Join in September and get 15% off each month on 12-month memberships. Visit virginactive.co.uk. Participating gyms. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm getting strawberry notes and a flutter of sweetness without adding sugar. Clever. It is. Yazoo Kids uses a lactose-reduced milk that enhances flavour without adding sugar or artificial sweeteners. Milky deliciousness and packed full of goodness. Very clever. Strawberry Yazoo Kids supports change for life. Yazoo, shake it up! Contains naturally occurring sugars. Milk is a source of calcium, which is needed for the maintenance of normal bones.
Welcome back. Stocks are sliding today after new tariffs went into effect this weekend, and tech is taking on the trade war head on. The Consumer Technology Association, which is a trade group representing over 2,000 companies, released a statement today condemning the tariffs and also calling for Congress to take action against the Trump administration's decisions. Joining us now is Gary Shapiro. He's president and CEO of the Consumer Technology Association. Gary, you're asking for a tweet.
I'm not asking for a tweet. What I'm asking for is some reason. We're asking President Trump to put down that smartphone, which we love, and start getting to the negotiating table, because he's promised us now for over a year and a half this is just a short-term thing, and we've gone along with it, not happily, of course, but he keeps increasing. He's increased tariffs so much now on almost every product that consumers are going to feel it. In fact, businesses are already feeling it. Wall Street Journal today reported small businesses, almost half of them are pessimistic about the economy because of tariffs.
So you guys say the new tariff list taxes consumers on $52 billion worth of their favorite tech products, including TVs, digital cameras, Bluetooth earbuds, smartwatches, and fitness trackers. So who's with the coming tariffs and the tariffs that have gone into effect on Sunday? Have they pulled forward inventory? I mean, that's what we saw with the threat of the border tax, and that's what we're hearing in terms of the number of shipping containers, for instance, that comes into the ports of Los Angeles. They're filled with TVs. They have been filled with TVs because nobody wants to have a shortage of supply when it comes to Black Friday.
Well, Black Friday may be dull Friday with these tariffs in place. The fact is that these tariffs go into effect at the time of landing. So essentially, as of a couple of days ago, they're in effect for the new products coming in for the very important fourth quarter. And, they just jumped up 2 weeks ago from 10 to 15%. Some are going up October to 25%. There's obviously going to be price increases. There's an estimate by the Congress now that this is costing the average American family several $100s. And prices are going up for all Americans in a range of products. So how are we reacting? It's somewhere between shock and disbelief, and every 2 weeks it's a new tweet, it's a new uncertainty. It was Mexico for a couple of weeks. It's now tariffs on everything. It's the components. It's affecting great American companies, and obviously it's affecting business confidence and the stock market. Look what's going on today.
Just to put a fine point, though, on the question, Gary, you're saying that nobody has pulled forward inventory in anticipation of the tariffs going up?
Well, the tariffs were set to go up on September 1 several months ago,
right.
But then there was a new tweet a couple of weeks ago that said it won't be 10%, it'll be 15%.
Sure.
So, and then there's October tariffs as well on a bigger 4 times
right.
the amount
So
of
in
September.
anticipation of these long deadlines.
But when you're shipping bulk product across an ocean in shipping containers, it takes literally months to prepare, months to get it. There may be at the fringes some accelerated shipping. Every company has its own strategy. Some believe for a while it never would happen. Well, it's happened, and it's having a huge impact, and it's affecting not only this industry, it's affecting retailers, it's affecting consumers, and it's affecting several different industries. Obviously, it's affecting the economy. We're seeing the signs already in so many different ways, from slower car sales to delayed payments to all sorts of things where we're seeing a slowdown in the economy, and the stock market's a good example.
Just before we go, when you come out so strongly and call it the Trump recession, do any of your 2,000 members push back and say, well, we support the president more so than you're making it out?
Well, you're right to say we do support the president's focus on China, but he has many other options that he could do. He pulled us out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which he probably wasn't aware of was an anti-Chinese coalition of countries. He's pulling us out of the World Trade Organization by refusing to authorize judges, which we've won most of our cases. He hasn't done other things he could do by imposing financial sanctions. He hasn't even gone to reciprocity, where he could impose on China what they're doing to us in terms of partnerships, requirements of all sorts of laws that they could follow. He has other alternatives, but tariffs are the worst alternative. History has proven it. There's only one economist who thinks it's a good idea, and sadly, he's in the White House with the president today.
All right, Gary, thank you very much for joining us today. Gary Shapiro of the Consumer Technology Association.
After the break, we'll get the traders' take on this sell-off and growing recession fears. Power Lunch is back in 2.
The S&P 500.
At Tesco, we can pop our pasta in your Astra, our red Leicester in your Fiesta, or our mayo in your Mondeo. All you need to do is try click and collect. Just go to tesco.com, order your shopping, then click and collect. With the minimum basket spend now only £25. And if you fancy something a little more exotic, we can even put our pad thai in your Qashqai. Try click and collect at tesco.com. Every little helps. Selected larger stores. Booking charge may apply. See online for full terms and conditions.
This one shouldn't take long. Of course, if it had a cover, I might not be bothered. Can't see what's under there. And then they'd have chained the back wheel. It would have taken me much longer, especially if the chain's off the ground. Makes it harder to cut. This one doesn't even have a lock on the front. So, in the time I've been talking to you, I've nicked it.
Over 9,000 scooters and motorbikes were stolen in London last year. Lock your bike, chain the rear wheel, and cover it to make it harder to steal. Lock, chain, cover. The Met Police.
For people who want to feel happier, stronger, fitter, get further, faster, better. For people who want to, but don't always manage to. It doesn't matter how you want to do it, who you want to do it with. It matters that you want to. Virgin Active. We'll find a way for you. Join in September and get 15% off each month on 12-month memberships. Visit virginactive.co.uk. Participating gyms. Terms and conditions apply.
Strength and things. Strength and things. Strength and things. Strength and things. Strings and things and strings and things. Strings and things. Strings and things. Strings and things.
Now there's a whole range of strings and things called strings and things, including cheese strings, yollies, and new cheese shapes. Find them all in the cheese and yogurt aisle.
Strings and things.
From the moment I saw you, the last of the litter, I knew you were the one.
and we'd soon hear the pitter-patter of tiny paws on our kitchen floor and tiny scratches on the bedroom door. You might sometimes be mischievous, sometimes be shy, but I know I found love in those kitten cat eyes. Join the free VIP Kitten Club from Pets at Home for advice and exclusive offers, including 10% off your first shop in store. Visit petsathome.com/kitten club or join in store. T's and C's apply.
Make sure you're uni ready with our huge range of practical essentials and home from home comforts and get 10% off for a limited time. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Dunelm, the home of homes.
Builder Ali spent his 40-year career whistling as he worked. Then he was offered a free pension review from what he thought was a reputable firm. But it was a scammer, and his lifetime savings was stolen.
Oi! Waiter! Another bottle of champers over here.
Don't let a scammer enjoy your retirement. Check who you're dealing with. Visit ScamSmart from the Financial Conduct Authority.
Welcome back. We got a news alert coming out of Washington, D.C. on Google. Elon Moy, what's happening?
Kelly, a source tells me that more than 24 state attorneys general are planning to launch an antitrust investigation into Google. They are expected to make this announcement on September the 9th. There are about 30 state AGs involved, with Texas taking the lead, and this is a bipartisan effort. Now, we were expecting some news this month after state AGs met with the Justice Department earlier this summer. And of course, it comes as both the DOJ and the House Judiciary Committee have launched their own antitrust investigation. Now, states looking to move forward with their own effort. Again, planning to announce a multi-state antitrust investigation into Google on September the 9th. Back over to you.
All right, Elon, thank you, Elon Moy, and we are seeing Alphabet shares at session lows right now. We are heading into the final hour of trading. The Dow still down more than 300 points. The U.S. 10-year yield touching multi-year lows. Let's bring in Jim Urio, Managing Director at TJM Institutional Services. Jim, great to have you with us. It seems like weak economic data re-sparked fears of recession here. And the same. We've seen this thing play out before.
Sure, there's an added element to it because it's clearly the two things. It's trade and it's that crummy ISM number came out today that is intensified fears of recession. And of course, there's also a report by Morgan Stanley that people were talking about on Twitter about how they don't believe that the stock market can be saved by lower rates. To that, I think, is pretty much nonsense. I think it's just begun. The Fed is just beginning its easing cycle starting in 2 weeks. I think it can be saved by that. And technically, the market's trading around 2,900. It's a very, very, very important level. If we finish above that today, I think the market will come to its senses, realize that low rates are somewhat of a panacea to markets. I'm not saying they are for the macroeconomic condition. I don't want Rick Santelli to jump down my throat here. But just for risk assets, I think the Fed can save the day.
I get that, but when we see yields dip, when we saw the 10-year yield go to break 144, which was last week's low, all bets were off on the equity side of it. So when are markets going to realize that lower rates down at these levels are still good for valuations?
That's a good question. I think it's relatively soon. I think the pace that we get to the rate is important, too. If it feels like there's panic in the air, well, then risk assets are going to get hit. But if we can trade sideways at a 145 level or whatever ridiculous low it's at right now, if we trade sideways that for a while, I think the market comes with senses and realizes, what are we supposed to buy? You get pushed into risk assets. That's the way it's happened in the past. I think it will continue.
All right, Jim, thanks. Jim Urio.
Thank you, Melissa.
Check, please, is next.
At Tesco, we can pop our pasta in your Astra, our red Leicester in your Fiesta, or our mayo in your Mondeo. All you need to do is try click and collect. Just go to tesco.com, order your shopping, then click and collect. With the minimum basket spend now only £25. And if you fancy something a little more exotic, we can even put our pad thai in your Qashqai. Try click and collect at tesco.com. Every little helps. Selected larger stores. Booking charge may apply. See online for full terms and conditions.
This one shouldn't take long. Of course, if it had a cover, I might not be bothered. Can't see what's under there. And then they'd have chained the back wheel. It would have taken me much longer, especially if the chain's off the ground. Makes it harder to cut. This one doesn't even have a lock on the front. So, in the time I've been talking to you, I've nicked it.
Over 9,000 scooters and motorbikes were stolen in London last year. Lock your bike, chain the rear wheel, and cover it to make it harder to steal. Lock, chain, cover. The Met Police.
For people who want to feel happier, stronger, fitter, get further, faster, better. For people who want to, but don't always manage to. It doesn't matter how you want to do it, who you want to do it with. It matters that you want to. Virgin Active. We'll find a way for you. Join in September and get 15% off each month on 12-month memberships. Visit virginactive.co.uk. Participating gyms. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm getting strawberry notes and a flutter of sweetness without adding sugar. Clever. It is. Yazoo Kids uses a lactose-reduced milk that enhances flavour without adding sugar or artificial sweeteners. Milky deliciousness and packed full of goodness. Very clever. Strawberry Yazoo Kids supports change for life. Yazoo, shake it up! Contains naturally occurring sugars. Milk is a source of calcium, which is needed for the maintenance of normal bones.
Daddy, you know my birthday party?
Yes.
Can we do painting?
Of course.
And can we have fireworks?
Absolutely.
And can everyone in Year 4 come?
The more the merrier.
You're very relaxed about this.
At John Lewis Finance, we've crafted our Premier Home Insurance with real care, so it provides accidental damage cover for those unexpected mishaps. We're also a Which recommended provider for Home Insurance 2019. Find out more at johnlewisfinance.com. Home insurance from John Lewis Finance. Excess and exclusions apply.
Check, please.
Welcome back. One of the movers we're watching today is Boston Beer, ticker SAM. We had the CEO on last week to talk about how they're not just doubling down, Melissa, on hard seltzer. They are tripling down, he said. Bill Griffith, who was here, took a sip of the seltzer to see how he liked it. And his reaction was basically, and maybe that's why the stock is down nearly percent in the session today.
It wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement, I guess.
He said, as people have pointed out, it's not sweet. It has a very kind of
Oh, really? So it's worse. It's seltzer. I mean, it's seltzer in the sense that it's neutral.
Exactly. I mean, so I hear.
Yeah. I'll have to try it at some point. In terms of the markets today, it seems like a real sort of battle between this belief that there is no alternative, and when you have low rates, you've got to go into risk assets, and this belief that Morgan Stanley is putting forth, that Jim was mentioning, that with low